chat going. Yeah. Okay, so we've got 120 viewers on vid chat. Thank you for all your patience, Vinny Chase. I appreciate that.
Thank you for your patience. Jeez.
So to our other external viewers up there, hello. Originally, we were going to have a podcast going on this evening, but our podcast has crashed. So the joys of technical difficulties. You don't need the headphones on anymore, my dear.
I know. I like to hear my own voice, though.
It's kind of cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, we still got the mic's still active, right?
Yeah. Totally.
Okay. Fair enough. This feels a little more professional,
Right?
I suppose. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so Vinny Chase.
Yes.
I don't need this anymore, do I?
Yep.
Okay.
We can get rid of that.
So I guess we're just going to do a video now for YouTube explaining what it is that we're trying to do here when we do get this fully functional. I had this bright idea of trying to implement 4 iPads live streaming on multiple platforms at the same time. Unfortunately, I didn't realize my internet connection could completely crash by doing that. So now we just have, I think I have Facebook Live going. We're recording for YouTube. And we have 126 viewers on BidChat. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Yeah, BidChat's awesome. I'm not going to lie. So for all of you on my Facebook channel, we're always going to be going to BidChat probably, or you're going to have to watch it on YouTube. So the name of the show, the name of the podcast, Sex and Suicide. And let me introduce you guys to some regulars who are going to be with me. They are going to stay sort of off camera because when you talk about sex, I can get into some pretty interesting issues, and they want to feel like they can express themselves freely without knowing completely who they are. Am I correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So we have Vinny Chase here, who is my right-hand man. He is my tech guy. I can't show you BidChat. You're just going to have to hear his voice.
Doing a great job of that, by the way.
Of what?
Tech.
On the tech stuff, yeah.
I clearly have a career in that.
Our tech guy apparently doesn't know how to do anything, so that's okay. We'll have fun with it regardless. And we have Little Miss Chris. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Good.
So when I came to you guys and I said, I want to do a podcast and I want to call it Sex and Suicide, what were your original thoughts?
Well, hesitation at first, definitely.
Okay.
Especially being a female talking about her own personal sex life.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you're a little bit. Would you say you were nervous, or you were just kind of held back at the idea?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm a little reserved in general.
Sure.
So the idea kind of scared me a little bit, but the more we talked about it, the more I was comfortable.
Do you find that the more time that you and I have been spending together, little pieces of you have been surfacing from and you find yourself talking about sex more freely and comfortably?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I'm still a little bit reserved.
Yeah.
But the way that you approach things, I'm feeling like it's okay. It's more and more okay to talk about these things. And, I mean, I want to be kind of that woman behind the scenes to tell other women that it's okay to talk about these things and not feel embarrassed or ashamed or feel like you have to hide it.
Good.
Behind yourself.
Good.
So yeah, sure.
And when I said the word, don't worry, Vinny Chase, we'll get to you, Mr. Tech guy in the fucking ear over here.
Yeah, I know.
And for everyone watching, by the way, we will be using profanity. We will be using sexual slang. If that's something you're sensitive about, you don't have to watch. By all means, you're not going to hurt my feelings. So when I said to you the word suicide, what did you think right away?
Well, obviously suicide is a very emotional word, and it can, hit people in different areas, and different feelings will surface. I'm comfortable talking about suicide, and I'm comfortable, sex and suicide kind of don't go, but go together.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's very interesting, and I'm interested to find out what this will lead to.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And Vinny Chase, same question for you.
Right.
When I said to you, I want to do a podcast and I want to call it Sex and Suicide, even though we're not even recording right now, we're just doing a YouTube video.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get that figured out. But when I came to you and I said, I want to do a podcast, I want to call it Sex and Suicide, and I want you to be a part of it, what were your original thoughts?
This guy's fucking crazy.
This guy's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but
It's possible. Fully
it's
possible.
a very out there. Like, it's not something you hear a lot about, right? Like, I mean, people do podcasts and people do, YouTube shows and stuff like that, but you don't often have something like that where it's very explicit and just right out there talking about sex on mainstream sites like YouTube.
Sure.
It's usually like, innuendo or things like that, but to have a show that's specifically devoted to sex and sex-related topics, I think is a very bold idea.
Okay.
Right? So at first I was like, okay, hold up, what the heck's going on here? This sounds a little wacky. But then when you actually go deeper into it and you understand the purpose of like what you're trying to do and the type of awareness you're trying to raise, it really makes a lot of sense.
Sure.
I think with Shawn's education too, we know that we're going to be talking about important things and not just sex and suicide.
Sure.
I think people need to know that.
Okay.
Right.
So for those people watching, they might not know that.
Right.
For everyone watching on BidChat, wow, we have 146 viewers now. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And I think we only have Facebook Live going now. For everyone watching, my name's Shawn Evans. If you have me on Facebook, you know me. You know that because we're friends. And the people on BidChat might not know that. And I'm actually a certified sex coach. And this is a real thing. There's a university called Sex Coach University in Los Angeles. And if you watched season 11 of The Bachelorette, you would have seen me on there as an amateur sex coach because I had not yet completed my training. I completed it all over the past year and sort of finished, I guess it would have been August, just before last fall. And as soon as I became a certified sex coach, I started touring to colleges and universities. And my main goal has been to promote consent and make sure that college, young adults attending these colleges and universities understand fully what consent is. And the only way to engage in that is to also have some fun with them by asking them, how many nerve endings are in the clitoris, or do you know where the G-spot is, things like that. But I felt that everything that happened in the U.S. with Brock Turner, if you guys don't know who that is, he's a.k.a. the Stanford rapist. It was really important to start talking about sex more openly and more honestly, and using terms like cock, pussy,
Right.
spit, suck, fuck, swallow, whatever, things like that. So I'm sorry if you're sensitive to those kind of things, but that's the terms we're going to use. And as I went on these tours, it became more and more apparent that young adults needed more education and were reserved about talking about these topics. So my main goal when it comes to the sexual side of things, which ties in with mental health, which I'll get to in a second, is to get more young adults talking and understanding the importance of consent and knowing that consent is sexy. Communicating with women is sexy. Mm-hmm. And it's really important to me also to try to get to the younger generations, even though this is sort of an 18-plus show. I don't know if you two are aware, but 60% of sexual assault occurs in women before they're the age of 17.
Sure.
So, which is really unfortunate. And they probably get themselves into situations where we need to talk about these situations that can cause, can get them into trouble, basically. So that's sort of my goal with the sex side of things. But we also want to have a shitload of fun while we're talking about it, right? And people want to learn new things. But we always want to do three things, and that is to keep it sane, keep it safe, and keep it consensual. And so when it comes to sex, these are the things that we want to bring up. These are the things we want to talk about. And we're going to have a shitload of special guests on this show when we do get it up and running that you might recognize. I mean, there's going to be people on here from The Bachelorette, from The Bachelor, from other reality TV shows such as Kenny vs. Spenny, people in the Canadian Hall of Fame. So the endless opportunity for guests to come on, UFC fighters, everything in between. But it's not about getting important people on here for me as much as it is about building something in London, Ontario, my hometown, where everyone has a story. Everyone's just as important. Maybe people have accomplished greater things at that point in their life, but if you have a story and you want to talk about it, especially when it comes to the sex side of things, or suicide, and we'll get into that. By suicide, that means mostly mental health. I think it's important that we start bringing in everyone as equals and sharing their stories regardless. And they can have the same thing going on that you do.
Yeah.
where they can have, your backs can be towards the live feeds,
Of course.
and we can still talk about this shit openly and honestly.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the suicide, do you guys sort of know why I tied in the suicide aspect of sex and suicide?
Besides the mental health.
Yeah.
Explain that.
Okay, so the suicide, for those of you watching that do know me, you know that I had a best friend who committed suicide just over a year ago. And the last year and a half, the only things I've really been focused on besides everyday living and trying to better my own life have been sex education and mental health education in order to help prevent suicide. So when we have a show called Sex and Suicide, we want to keep it sex positive and we want to keep it mental health positive. Sure, those two words draw attention and you kind of think, what the fuck is this guy doing? These are two totally weird words that draw attention.
That's right, which is what I said at the beginning, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It seems bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
But when I explain it to you how that happened, I want to prevent suicide as much as possible. Right. I did a show about a week ago at Georgian College, and they had said that they lost 7 students to young adults to suicide last year. And the trend is getting worse and worse, and mental health is getting worse and worse. I mean, the U.S. just elected a president, and for those of you in Bid Chat watching from the U.S., I'm sorry if you're Trump supporters, but I don't believe he still has yet to apologize for the comments he said about women and grabbing their pussy. Does he not? Are you guys aware about that?
No.
He never apologized, right?
He did never apologize.
So that to me is a problem. If you have someone in power,
wrong and he has apologized, someone can let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys, by the way, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, we'd love to hear from you. You can reach us at sexandsuicidepodcast@gmail.com. Any questions that you want us to address, whether it's sexually, if you'd like me to help you with your sexual stamina, for example. We will bring this up and talk about this eventually, but just so you have a little bit of a better understanding of what it is we're trying to do. Wow, 171 viewers.
Or even have like a cool story.
A cool story,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You wanna
A
share
cool
some-
sex story.
Yeah.
So this is the layout for everyone that's watching, and you guys know the layout. We're gonna do, when we get this fucking thing up and running properly, the plan is to do a mental health and motivational Monday, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that's where I'd like to bring in people in person from London or from wherever that if they want to Skype in or a phone call in, talk about either mental health issues they've overcome or a success story. It could be a guy that's super successful in business and people want to hear about what he's got going on. Wednesday is going to be Woman Crush Wednesday. And what we're trying to do on Woman Crush Wednesday is have females talking about common things that they don't like that are going on in today's society. So we really want female empowerment to be a big part of this, and also have some fun talking about their sexual adventures as well. And then we've got the real Sunday night sex show, which is all about sex. Got a really cool co-host coming on, and she'll introduce herself on Sunday as well. And the Sunday night sex show should be something that's just going to be phenomenal to watch. But even then, we're going to take this slow, like we would in any relationship. So if you know me, you might think that when I say the Sunday night sex show, we're just going to jump into talking about anal sex and blowjob right off the bat. We're not going to do that. We're going to take it slowly and talk about romance. Valentine's Day is coming up, and we're going to go a little bit further and explore some romance options for starters. But I figure we'll carry this forward as a relationship and see how it grows.
Right.
With everyone that's involved. So, do you guys have any questions about sex and suicide, Vinny Chase or Little Miss Chris?
Actually, I thought you had something cool that you said, I think it was yesterday when we were in the car, when you were talking about how you should refer to people who have committed suicide.
Oh, how you should refer? Oh,
right.
Okay,
because
so
that's like Christine said, or Chrissy said. It's a
Chrissy. Little